Take a second.
Folks, we have a very special guest for you tonight.
Hello, we've been expecting you.
This is not a test. Your government and corporate overlords have implemented new measures for your own health and safety. We are just following orders.
Everything is going to be fine.
I'd like to introduce...
Welcome everyone to another If by Whiskey. This is impromptu. First of all, my condolences go out to any family member of any service member who's been hurt, killed, shot at, going under stress, anything. But we have the great Dan McKnight from Defend the Guard, Bring Our Troops Home. He has decided to gift us with a special hour in light of the two Iowa National Guardsmen and the woman in DC that were shot and killed. Dan, please welcome to another If by Whiskey. Please share all your stuff, all your information. I'd love to hear where you're at with everything and just get your thoughts about what's been going on as it's fresh in the news.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate the time and the platform. Yeah, this is we're kind of in unsettling times. We are still pushing Defend the Guard, and for those that don't know what that is, I'll get to that in just a second. But in light of world events, we just had the Iowa National Guard members, two of them that were killed, I believe, in while they were on active duty in Syria. And a lot of people are asking, what the hell is the National Guard doing in Syria? We'll talk about that as well, I'm pretty sure. And there was another handful, a dozen or more that were injured there. We had the National Guard soldiers that were shot and killed in Washington, D.C. And now we are looking at an AUMF, which is an authorization of use of military force being pushed in Congress right now to send the National Guard and the United States military to over 60 countries. It's the manifestation of Monroe Doctrine 2.0, where we want to fight every narco terrorist we can in the world and call them a threat to the United States and send our military to crush them unilaterally inside of some other country's borders. So we are in crazy uncertain times. And as a veteran of the global war on terror and a member of the Idaho National Guard, when I went to Afghanistan, I served in the Army and the Marines. Me and my peers came home from the global war on terror pissed off because we saw it as a waste of time. And after trying to go to Washington, D.C. to plead our case that we should at least, try for peace, just give it a shot, we were basically laughed out of the swamp, and we went home and licked our wounds and said, we'll never go back to D.C. and fight this fight again. And so we developed this concept called Defend the Guard. And to give you just a quick, short briefing of what that means, the National Guard.
And don't be short. Detail, explain it. I would love for our audience to really get an understanding, because we can actually make a difference. We can actually, there is a part for us to take action. So I'd love for to make it as easy and digestible for everyone to really get what this is.
All right, you're gonna get the full scooping then. The National Guard.
You want the lecture, my friend? Get out the PowerPoint and the laser.
There we go. And American mini malls, beep. They're the thriving the industry that's separated the United States from the rest of the world. Remember those old film strips you watched in elementary school? Oh, I just dated myself. God
it's
dang.
like those in the driving school, the driving video.
That's right.
Don't let parents drive home. Like all those crazy ones. Anyway,
oh my God, that's so funny. Here we see a wounded gazelle.
Yeah, Richard Attenborough does lectures for. We're going to bring our troops home.
That's right. We could do it in that mode. But the National Guard, they make up 50% of the United States total force structure. 50% active duty military, Marines, Air Force, Coast Guard, everything. The National Guard is 50% of that total force strength. And we decided if we wanted to fight the war machine in D.C. and the runaway foreign policy establishment, instead of fighting in Washington, D.C., where all the money's at and all the power and influence, let's go to Bismarck. Let's go to Boise. Let's go to Phoenix and fight there and see if we can't keep the National Guard home unless they're properly authorized to go fight a war overseas. And that's what Defend the Guard is. It's a piece of state-based legislation built on the 10th Amendment in the Constitution that says unless Congress does their constitutional duty and actually declares war, the National Guard from Idaho or Arizona, they get to stay home under a legislative prohibition that says you don't get to take them. because it's not for a proper constitutional purpose. And we've had the bill introduced in over 30 states. We're probably going to get across the finish line through a Senate and a House twice this year. We're probably going to get through Idaho and Arizona. We've got a great effort that's been going on in those states for 3 or 4 years. And we know once it happens, it's going to be dominoes. They'll start to fall. One state after another is going to do it, because whether you're Republican or Democrat, whether it's Trump or Bush or Obama or Biden or, God forbid, Kamala Harris or Gavin Newsom, there's always half the governors in the country that want to retain the control of their National Guard because they're opposed to the reason that the president wants to call them up. And so we know that the dominoes will just start to fall one after another. And eventually we will reclaim 50% of the total force structure unless Congress does their job and they follow the Constitution. And as we've pushed this across the country, we've become really good constitutional scholars of the process of the original intent of the founding fathers of federal code, specifically Title 10 and Title 32, which authorize, fund, and set the parameters for the National Guard. And we found out that what we're trying to do is already written into federal law and the Constitution. It's already there, but they're
Let me guess.
completely.
It just needs to be looked at and followed. Wait, you're telling me it just needs to be followed?
I think you understand that laws are nothing more than obstacles, right? So at a minimum, we're going to put
they're suggestions for you to work around. They're actually pressures for you to evolve
That's right.
and circumvent. Actually,
That's
is really
right.
what it is.
If it wasn't for rules and laws, none of us would have thumbs, right? I mean, we'd still be picking fleas off each other. So the law already exists, but they already ignore the law. So instead of asking Washington, D.C. and the federal government to police itself, we're going to go back to the states where they can be an extra layer where the states can police the use of the federal government's use of our National Guard, and they can have that last minute prohibition that says you're not taking them unless you've done X, Y, and Z. Fortunately for the federal government, X, Y, and Z is one thing. Just declare war the way it's supposed to be done in Congress with the authority of the people, and then guess what? Katie bar the door. Our boys and girls are coming because that's their job. That's what they signed up for. That's what their mission is. That's their purpose, to defend America, to defend American interests, and to fight and win America's wars. But war is the operative word. If we are going and sending our military into Afghanistan or the Horn of Africa or Djibouti or Venezuela, Cambodia, it better be with authorization, because that's the way the Constitution is written. We don't get to go and just declare war or fight a war at the whim of the president. It doesn't work that way. It has for 80 years because Congress has basically castrated themselves. So that is the purpose of the Defend the Guard bill. That's what we're doing right now.
If I may, let's take a step back to where I think it really broke up was Obama wasn't in Senate when Hillary voted on some military thing with Iran or something, or Iraq, and he didn't vote on it. And that almost single-handedly got her spot. Remember, she was supposed to really be the one before he was, and she ended up going after, right? But that thing it was some kind of war thing, and none of these politicians want to touch war. None of them, because they know it is a losing battle. Ron Paul, first of all, I met you at Ron Paul's barbecue.
That's right.
Tomorrow, I got Jason Rink on. And he's the one who did the nullification documentary, right? And obviously the Tea Party thing. So this is why I wanted to get this kind of all lined up, because like these all line up. This is about nullification, directly about nullification, about the 10th Amendment, about the state, and not even the state's rights. It's the people's rights that they allow the state to have. Right. That no one has. You know, this is ridiculous how we're looking at from the top down what we're granted. No, it's what we grant them. That's right.
It's what we loan to them.
I love that this is kind of lining up in this way, and how important this is, you know?
Yeah, that's the thing that pisses me off more than anything about the way that Congress abdicated their authority. They gave away authority that wasn't theirs to give away. We granted to them, loaned to them our authority based on our God-given natural rights. And that authority that we gave them was limited. It was defined, and it was specified what they could use it for: to declare war, to take our nation from a condition of peace to a condition of war. That's an authority we gave to them, and they handed it off like it was nothing. Like it was inconsequential. And they gave it to the president. Well, they don't have that authority. I can't, if I'm borrowing a car from my neighbor, I don't have the authority to give that car to somebody else. That's not how it works. And Congress has completely abdicated because they don't want to have to answer for that vote. Because the most solemn duty of any elected official in Congress or the Senate is the decision to go to war, to take your sons and daughters, your neighbors, your tradesmen, your police officers, to take them and send them into a foreign conflict where they could potentially fight and die on behalf of a nation. It's the most solemn responsibility, and they just gave it away. They said, we're not going to make that decision. We're just going to authorize the president to make the decision for us. And what's happened since then? Let's look at the last declaration of war. It happened to be 1942 in World War II against Hungary, Romania, and Bulgaria. And since that time, we've fought in Korea. We've fought in Vietnam. We fought in Lebanon. We fought in Panama. We fought in Grenada. We fought in Libya. We fought in Iraq 1, 2, 3, and 4. We fought in Afghanistan, Syria, Yemen, Djibouti, Horn of Africa. These are all places we've gone to fight without the Congress ever taking a vote on a declaration of war. We went to Korea, one of the worst wars in American history. We went to Korea on a UN charter. A UN charter. Congress didn't even authorize it.
And that's coming out of World War II. I mean, UN is like barely baked yet, right? It's not even fully baked. It's coming out of the League of Nations, I'm assuming, right?
That's right. You want to talk about some chutzpah, man. The UN.
Yeah.
Hey, we're a new organization. Watch this. Watch what we're going to do to
hold
one of the three
beer.
superpowers. Hold my beer. Hold my Belgian stout. So, yeah, it's just one of those things that, we've because they've given away the authority and they don't control it anymore, it's become the norm. There are people right now that are getting ready. This is going to blow you away. Getting ready to go into their second or third enlistment in their military career, and not 1 minute of their life, has been spent at a time when our nation wasn't at war, in a war that wasn't declared. So we've got 25-year-olds that are on their second or third enlistment, and from the moment they were born, America's been fighting wars all over. And we now have, I think the last number I saw was 110 nations around the world with 750 military bases, U.S. military bases. We are an empire in decline. We are not on the slippery slope. We are almost at the bottom of it. And getting back up is
why? Hey, wait, why do they keep putting their countries where we put our bases, though, Dan?
bastards.
That's the biggest question, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very inconsiderate of the world to do that. Don't they know? But yeah, so that's what keeps me up at night. And then we look and see what's happening right now, like I said, in Syria, where the Iowa National Guard just had two members of their guard unit killed. And all of a sudden on the old Twitter box, we start seeing people ask questions. Well, what was the Iowa National Guard doing in Syria? Were they training? Was there a flood? What was going on? Well, if you've been asleep for the last 24 and a half years, you didn't recognize that the National Guard has been pulled into every engagement, and they are the occupying force for the United States all over the world. What happens is the military goes in and breaches the perimeter of a country, takes over, shakes things up, destroys things, breaks things. And then when they go on to the next mission, the National Guard backfills and they become the occupying force for the next 20 years. No definition.
Oh, the National
of
Guard's
success.
like a spackle? Like literally. So basically, infantry comes in, let's just use infantry, right? Infantry comes in, breaks the shit up, cracks it all, destabilizes everything. And then the National Guard, American citizens who are doing this on a weekend, right? One weekend a month or whatever, all this stuff. Like that's what it's sold to them in America, go to some godforsaken rock that's not even a patch of American land. And they have to spackle in and backfill for all the carnage that we start.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
They get the retaliation.
Yeah, they get the retaliation. They get the blowback. Yep, to use the term that came about.
Blowback. Yeah, let's use the Ron Paul term, blowback, for sure.
And so, that changed. The reason it changed is slightly before the reference you made earlier. It was George W. Bush and Dick Cheney that caused this manifestation of the National Guard becoming this occupying permanent military force. We fought the moral war, the just war, the righteous war in Afghanistan, right? If you believe all the hype. And when they went there, they took the active duty military, they invaded a country, they fought a war. They should have been home 6 months later, but they didn't, because you couldn't fight the war that they really wanted in Iraq unless the moral righteous war in Afghanistan kept going. And so they chased a 6.5 foot tall Arab man around the mountains. Boy, I don't know how we could never see him.
And let him go, by the way. How many times?
Let him go. That's right.
And let him go at least once or twice, if I recall.
That's right. They confirmed they had him pinned against the border of Pakistan, and they called in asking for an unreasonable request. Could you send us 100 Rangers to lock the back of him so that he can't escape into Pakistan? Could you do that for us? And old Don Rumsfeld.
They were too busy defending the poppy fields, man. You couldn't. You can't do
Rangers
that,
do know how to
man.
guard some poppy. I'm just going to say it. So Don Rumsfeld, he said, no, you don't get Rangers. We got something better. We're going to send you 100 Afghan National Army soldiers. You've seen the videos. You've seen them doing the jumping jacks and the push-ups and dropping the right. That's who we're going to send.
You mean those very disciplined guys who piss themselves at the first sound
Yeah.
of one gunshot going on?
Yeah. The ones that gave up all of Bagram and Kabul in 11 hours after the United States left.
Yeah,
Those guys.
yeah.
Right. Because one, some are loyal, some aren't. Some can be
Right,
bought.
and that's the
some
problem.
have been bought.
And that's the thing is like just it's any mixed environment.
Yeah.
I mean, look, part of the military here was we had a hard time shooting at people. Like they had to make war movies to literally
Desensitize
start
us. Yep.
right, manufacturing our consent that we shoot at bad guys always. We
Right.
always shoot at bad guys because World War I and stuff, they're like, they were shooting to miss. I mean,
Right.
we're not fucking savage monsters, people. We're
Yep.
not imperialists. We are humans who just want to coexist with everyone else on this earth. It's
Yep,
crazy.
exactly. It's the Christmas ceasefire in World War I, where the German and American troops put their weapons down and walked out and met each other and sang, what was it? Silent Night, I believe, was the song that they sang together. Then they went back and started shooting over each other's heads again. Yes, you're right.
And look, not only that, how about the one where they had a wolf problem, where all the wolves
right.
would attack? They stopped and hunted the wolves, and then went back.
These are the stories that
Humanity
America
trumps all
forgets.
this bullshit any day.
Humanity
Humanity
will
trumps
always win.
statism. all
Humanity
day.
always will win. Yep. And so, where was I? I lost my place.
We're talking about just defending it, backstopping the National
Sure.
Guard. So basically,
Yep, they asked-
50% of all the infrastructure,
Yep.
all the logistics, the
All the
fueling.
equipment.
I mean, you think
Everything.
about all these things that you don't even think about, right? The chain of supply chain, all that. If 50% of that is filled by National Guard, imagine the power you have if you all said no at the same time just for one day. I mean, it's
Right.
amazing.
Yeah, it's that a single person can't move a mountain, right? But I can lift where I stand, and I can take care of my yard. I can influence from the inside out, which is what America should be doing on the world stage anyway.
We need to be the liberty we want to see.
Amen.
That's what we need to
Amen.
be. We can't enforce it. We have to be it. And we're not even doing it to ourselves. So it's like almost impossible. But you were talking about 50% backstop and all
Yep.
the backfill and how basically you're just clean. I mean, you're clean up for all the one cleaning up the mess with the least training, with the least time in, and you're not mentally in that anyway because you're not in the career. It's like correct. It's like a side thing for you. You're here to help.
Changed. That's changed. That's the way
live in
it
the
was.
country.
Yeah, that's the way it was. It used to be 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks in the summer. That used to be the sales pitch. Now it's beyond that because the National Guard is a very economically friendly way to plus up the military. Most people join the National Guard now with the understanding that you will deploy once every year or every other year, maybe every third year for anywhere from 6 to 18 months at a time. It's just expected now, but that's not the way it's supposed to be. We are not a jobs program for the active duty military. We're not an economic backfill factor. We are here for America's defense. In fact, the National Guard exists constitutionally for 3 purposes, right? To repel an invasion, to put down an insurrection, and to enforce the laws of the Union. That's it. That is the purpose of the National Guard. And fortunately for the warmongers, if you do the one thing, declare war in Congress, that becomes the law of the land. And that is a law that the National Guard would enforce, and they would prosecute and carry out America's wars, whether it's here or over there, wherever it's at. And, so Dick Cheney and Bush, back to this point, letting Osama bin Laden go, you can argue about that all day long, but what you can't argue with is that when 2002 came around and they were making the case for all of the reasons that Iraq was tied to Al-Qaeda and that Saddam Hussein somehow was tied to 9/11 through, they were talking about the the aluminum tubes and building nuclear weapons and the yellow cake uranium from Niger and the weapons of mass destruction and gas.
Which is even funny, real quick. Hussein he was starting a very rudimentary product. Scott Horton even did say that. So it's funny that it's not that he didn't have one, but it wasn't even, it was like tubes and shit in boxes. So like it was clearly nothing, but obviously pumped up.
I think you misunderstood when they said you need yellow cake uranium. He got yellow cake from the local Piggly Wiggly.
I got red velvet. Does that work?
He's like, no, not the red velvet.
No, yellow cake, not
cake,
red velvet.
Yellow with the red frosting.
Let me show you yellow.
God, that would be a great skit, wouldn't it?
Oh my God, that'd be a great Saturday Night Live.
And then they pull him out of a spider hole in the ground. His hair is all jacked up. But so Dick Cheney and Bush, they fabricated this war, the war that they wanted, the one that Cheney had been working on since the early 70s when he was a staffer in the Ford administration. He'd been building for that war. He'd been building to consolidate war powers in the executive branch. That was his entire mission, his entire goal. He thought Frank Church and the Church Commission had destroyed the presidency by putting a check and balance in place. And he wanted to fix that. He wanted to rectify that. And so they got everything they wanted. They had Colin Powell trade his soul to the devil and sell the war to the United Nations. And we went into Iraq. Now we've got the active duty military fighting on two fronts. Guess what you start to run out of real fast? Fresh bodies. And so they called for
and not fresh, not just fresh as in like alive and not injured, but like mentally alert and actually fresh. There's a fatigue that people don't like. I've been blessed to actually fail the physical when I enlisted, thank God. But I just know the people who've gone through it and the fatigue and all that. Like you cannot explain. You have to experience it. It's not really describable.
Yeah, it's not the fatigue you can go to bed when you get home and sleep off in a couple days or weeks. It's 20 years. It's a lifetime to get that mental cognizant back, that mental elasticity back. So they two wars, two fronts. They activate the National Guard and start backfilling all the posts in America and getting the military back up to full strength at home, just in case there's a attack on the homeland like there was, 11 months prior. And then they looked down and they said, God dang, look at all those fresh bodies. What else could we do? I know. Let's surge. Let's go. Build it up. Let's go. Let's get into Iraq. Let's begin provincial reconstruction. Let's begin nation building. Let's topple everything. Let's go through a de-Baathification process. Oh my God. You want to talk about that? They said anybody
let's hand Iraq to Iran. Let's hand Iraq to Iran.
That's exactly
literally.
Right.
And no one in America has any clue that that's actually what we did. Is we fought Iran's war so we can bomb them for no reason later.
Yep, the Iran-Iraq
brilliant,
war.
Like this forward thinking that we have is.
Yeah, it kept Iran-Iraq conflict. It kept those two at bay. It kept each other in check. And we took out the one check in the region. As much as we didn't like him, he was the stabilizing force in the Middle East. Saddam Hussein was the stabilizing force.
Libya.
Gaddafi in Libya.
It's not like we like these people. It's funny because America install regime change all the time. How could we possibly have a problem with a regime like a regime? Like we do it all the time because it's not our regime.
It's not ours.
It's not ours. So
Yeah, you know why we got rid of Gaddafi is because damn it, every one of his people in that country had a house and they all had a job. And
and they were going to go in a gold standard currency and actually take the oil and get off the petrodollar. What a shame. How evil that guy looking out for his people while our country don't look out for our people.
That's right.
It's unbelievable as we
we're the moral and righteous ones. Our job is to look out for his people too. Right. And that's what we're doing. They need baseball and apple pie, damn it. And we're going to bring it.
Well, guys, we're going to force our freedom upon them because they need freedom.
You're going to like it, mister. You're going to like it. Yeah. So they have all these fresh bodies, like we said. And so they surged and we broke the country. We broke Iraq. We broke Afghanistan. And now the active duty military, they need to come home. They've been gone for 18, 24 months. They've got to come home and cycle back and they need fresh bodies. And who's left? The National Guard. And so we get on this permanent rotation. And then we start building bases in Africa. We start the lily pad approach in Africa where we send out a small contingency to occupy a small country. And then they use that as a base of operations to go 2 or 3 or 4 countries deep into Africa, chasing everybody.
If I may,
yep.
Haiti. We paid to send mercenaries from fucking Nigeria to Haiti, and then we sent 700 National Guardsmen to fucking Nigeria for fuck's sake. I'm sorry. I apologize for the cursing, man, but it's like I care about our people. I care about Americans, and I care about look. If we're not there, we don't kill them either. So they actually get to prosper too. Like we don't get to destroy their shit. So like everyone wins if we don't get in the way. But it's like we play this game because, and this is exactly what we can do. We can control Nigeria with Pennsylvania Guardsmen, the United States, and Nigeria can control Haiti because they're not part of the country. If they were Haitians, they might become nationalists, and God forbid they actually care about their country too, right? So that this is this shell game they play. They take someone from a foreign world that you don't have a connection to.
That's right.
And this is what scares me about the military is they're gonna be like, military is going to be the quickest way to citizenship for all you people that all
Oh,
the
boy.
10 million that came over. And you're like, are you fucking kidding me? No, thank you. Pump the fucking brakes, please.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, this is
Yeah, does
dangerous.
the Fort Hood shooter not ring a bell to anybody? You know, come on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Or
Right,
I think
exactly.
was the I believe the shooter in DC was a
Yeah, the
a
DC
foreign-born
shooter was
military.
at 15 was part of the CIA death squad in Afghanistan. Okay, sure. I mean, there's a lot of other ways to look at that, but just that trauma alone, even if it wasn't false flag or if it wasn't whatever, coerced or whatever, it still shows that we broke that person. I mean,
That's
that
right.
was broken through our hand. You know,
When you break something,
Complete-
it's like your mom used to tell you at the store: if you break it, you buy it. Well, we had to buy it. We had to own what happened in Afghanistan, Iraq, and the de-Baathification process that we were just briefly touching on. Part of the Cheney plan, part of the Bush plan was to go in there, and anybody that was a member of the Ba'ath Party had to be destroyed, had to be removed, had to be killed, had to be captured, had to be sent out of the country, had to be fired from their jobs. Well, if you wanted to be a mailman in Iraq, you had to become a Ba'athist, right? If you wanted to work at the morgue, you had to become a Ba'athist. If you wanted to work for the power company, you joined the party and you went to work. So when we said anybody who is part of the party, you no longer have a place here. Guess what? The lights turn out. The sewers stop working. The garbage doesn't get picked up. The grocery stores don't get stocked. We destroyed the country because Dick Cheney and his crew, with Wolfowitz and that little bastard's sick mind, we destroyed an entire civilization and created the greatest immigration crisis in world history.
Yeah.
And now all of the problems from the Middle East are all throughout Europe. They're coming to the United States. They're in Central America. They're all across Africa. We pushed the problems out of the country where they were contained and made them dissidents in another land. We did that. That's our badge of honor. We're proud of what we did because weapons of mass destruction, because George W. Bush's daddy couldn't finish the job, because Wolfowitz has a hard-on for Iraq, whatever it is. And you know, if you want to know a little bit more about this, actually, I'm in the middle of a mini series that we've produced. It's called The Truth About Dick Cheney. And we just wrapped up episode 5. There's 2 more coming. You want to know about how all this happened, how it was built, the details, the nitty gritty, go check it out. It's called the Bring Our Troops Home podcast, but you can find it at Troops Home US on X or YouTube. But just check it out. I think you'll enjoy it.
Send me that link. Send me that link. I'll
Yep.
put it in the notes.
I will.
Notes
I will.
Sure.
And but that is what we're facing. What happened in 2001, 2, and 3, and even through Dick Cheney's career throughout the 70s, 80s, and 90s, it didn't end then. We're dealing with the ramifications now, and it's not slowing down. It's actually picking up steam and momentum. It is harder now to stop this train than ever before. Ever. Look at the number of people in Congress that we could call anti-interventionists or peace dividend warriors or people that are restrained in foreign policy. You couldn't fill up your hand, all 5 fingers on one hand. You could name one. Tom Massey, right?
Massey and even Paul would be okay with certain aggressions if he could be convinced of it.
Yeah.
I would think Massey would kind of be against most of them in general. So that's just who I'd
And the thing is, I don't think of either one of those 2 men as a satin dove at all, because I think they both, under the right circumstances, with the right threats.
Well, first of all,
against
Massey
America,
runs his own freaking farm.
dude.
That dude's like driven a pole in his finger or something, fractured
right.
his hand. I saw it. Non-intervent, that does not make you weak. It does not make you isolationist. These words are not crisscross. You cannot
Have you not
conflate
seen
these
Mel
words.
Gibson in The
Non-intervention means
Yep.
stop stomping on their throats from our perspective. That's
right.
That's all that means.
That's right. And in people like me, I wouldn't say I'm not a big hippie or anything, but I believe in strength. I believe in projecting that strength in the right ways. I was itching to get in the fight after 9/11. But the older and wiser I get, the more I really truly understand that if we're going to do it, we have to do it with the right authority and the right oversight, the right clear vision. We have to follow the just war theory. We have to understand that the proper amount of response, restraint, definition of success, all other avenues have to have been at least explored, at least considered. And we don't even do that anymore. President Obama, I thought for one fleeting moment, hey, here's a man of integrity. He wants to go to Syria so bad. He went to Congress and asked for permission the way it should be done. I thought, my God, this is the second coming. This is him. And then Congress said no, and he said, oh, we're going to go anyway. And I thought, okay, it's all stagecraft. It's all theater. He had no intention on following anything that the Congress gave him. He was going anyway.
And he just created the actual organizations that just did the last terror attacks.
ISIS-K is all on him.
Against whom Trump allegedly destroyed.
That's right.
What a fucking shock, everybody. None of it's real. It's all bullshit, man.
Killed them all like a
we have
dog.
CIA-backed terrorists that are fighting against Pentagon-backed terrorists in Syria. Syria is a shitbed. You literally have Americans wiping the ass of an Al-Qaeda number three, who's the head of Syria. Number three, guys.
Of diamonds.
People don't even. Oh my God! But he looks good in a suit.
He does look good. Very slim.
Like it's that gangster life, man. It's like literally.
Do you think his suit is? Do you think his suit is Hugo Boss?
I think it's who's the one from the Nazis?
The Hugo Boss.
Yeah, it's a Hugo Boss. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it might be. It might just be. And like I was gonna say that. Like my grandfather, I had two grandfathers, but one was a Nazi soldier, anti-aircraft soldier in World War II. And my other grandfather was a civilian engineer. To your point, what did he do? Street lights and sewers. And after the war, he was blacklisted for 5 years because he was a Nazi member. And it's like he was in the administration buildings that, once again, kept the lights on and the water running. Of course he was a Nazi member. They wouldn't not let, it's
you couldn't have a job without it.
Context, people, like a little context or some grace, context, everything, it's right. It's amazing.
Yeah. So it's disheartening. Like I said, this whole movement, it's not slowing down the usurpation of executive theory. In fact, Dick Cheney is maybe the father of this, of unitary executive theory, thinking that claims that in matters of war and national defense, the president has unitary power, plenary power. Nobody can stop him. He can do whatever he wants in that context. Well, the founding fathers knew better than that. They knew that if you had an executive who had that type of authority, the decision whether or not to go to war and for how long and against who, that he would probably go to war, because executives have a tendency to whip it out on the table and see who's got the biggest one and get into fights. But if you have a constrained Congress, a representative of the people that are the final, they're the ones that are holding the starter pistol that say, on your marks, get set, go. If it fires a blank, we don't go. If it fires around in the air, we're off to go fight. But we've let the president do this. Look at President Trump now. Someone asked him the other day, are you going to tell Congress? Are you going to report to Congress? Are you going to ask Congress for permission to go to Venezuela? And he goes, no, we'll probably just go. We might let them know, but I don't think I really need to. In fact, my attorneys tell me I don't have to. First of all, we want to talk about attorneys giving the president authority he doesn't have. That's what Addington did. That was Cheney's, his own sidekick, his own attorney. He's the one that wrote all the policies that authorize torture, surveillance of American citizens, kidnapping, rendering. He wrote all the opinions that gave Cheney that permission. And do you want to have another Dick Cheney with that kind of authority, serving as the number 2 in the country behind a man who has no understanding of foreign policy, can't even spell, served in the National Guard for a half a second, just enough to appease his dad? You don't want to have a number 2 that's evil. And I'd like to, one last thing on this point before I get off my soapbox. Sorry, you got me all kind of riled up. George W. Bush was the better of the two options.
That's my job, man. That's my job. Oh, wait, George W. was the better of which two options? Just to be clear.
In 2000, when he was running for the Republican primary.
Against Gore?
No, in the primary, it was John McCain. John McCain and Libby Dole and George W. Bush, and a guy named Pat Buchanan was also an option, but he was a distant 33rd out of 4.
We can talk Buchanan.
We love Pat Buchanan.
We like Pat.
I love Pat. And so imagine if it hadn't been George W. Bush. George W. Bush was a useful idiot to the foreign policy establishment, to the Council on Foreign Relations, to the PNAC, to all those people. He was a useful idiot because he had no foreign policy gravitas, and he had to have it. And so when he asked Dick Cheney to help him find a vice presidential candidate, Dick Cheney went out and interviewed everybody and recommended himself. He chose himself. If John McCain would have won,
you don't understand though. Dick Cheney's a chosen one. Dan, look, if you claim yourself to be a chosen one, you get to do a lot of really, really, really bad shit, apparently.
Do you remember the Tim Russert interview he did on September 16th, 2001? We're going to have to go a little dark here. We're going to have to work in the shadows. We're going to have to do some things the American people aren't going to be proud of. He said it.
Have to. We're gonna have to.
Have to. We got to work in the shadows. We can't work within the confines of the law.
Once again, implemented by the side that would never allow it.
That's right.
The side that would never allow it, while Obama does the thing that the Democrats would never allow: bail out the banks. This is the two wings, same bird concept. Right. Like all of this stuff. This is the theater that people need to wake up to. There is no side that likes you. There is a side and us. That's it. Right. Because everyone has self-interest, regardless of how altruistic you are. It's inherent. It is in your nature that you cannot not be selfish. You just cannot not be. You know what I mean? Like,
nobody goes to Washington, D.C. and comes back a better man. Nobody. Well, there was one.
It's tough.
There was one. Walter Jones, congressman from North Carolina. He went to D.C. as a establishment Republican. He supported the war in Iraq. He voted for it. And about 6 months into the war, he said, "What have I done? What have I done?" And he spent the rest of his entire life, when he passed away in 2019, from 2006 till 2019, he spent every minute of his life in public service, writing, calling, visiting the families of every soldier that had died under his authorization, under his abdication of authority. He did everything he could to atone. He fought to repeal the AUMFs. He did everything he could because he realized he'd been lied to and that he had not done his job to represent his constituents. That's one example I can give you where somebody went to DC and came back a better man. But the bar is pretty low, right?
Oppenheimer, somewhat, a little.
Somewhat,
I mean,
sure.
Oppenheimer, after, I am become death, destroy
the numbers are small. The numbers are small.
Yeah, it's small. It's small. Mike Gravel, I don't know if he got better, but I admire him for being weird. I don't know if you know Mike Gravel. He's the one who read the Pentagon Papers.
Oh, yes.
He's the one who read the Pentagon Papers into the.
That's right. Read into the record. Yep.
Yeah. So, he was always an outlier too, though. What do they call him? Fringe, gadfly. The gadfly.
That's his job is just to.
There's a documentary about him.
Yep. I love.
But the problem was the kids that followed him. The kids that followed him, like, were young, had this young energy, and they became like Harry Sissonites almost. And I'm like, dude, what happened? You could have gone. I'm not saying you go Kirk, but you could have gone one of two ways. Why would if you expose that shit? Why would you go that way? To enlarge the state. It just seems so counterintuitive. These people, and like these people, once again, the base concept is there is no good state. There cannot be. It's just because some group is represented while one other group must be not at that point. It's just, it's just how it is.
Yeah, no, a great example that happened. I just saw this morning on the old Twitter. My senator, Jim Risch, who I'm no fan of, but he's from a Republican conservative state of Idaho. You'd think he'd at least represent conservative values. He is so senior in the Senate that he chairs the Senate Committee on Foreign Relations. He's probably the second or third most influential man in all of America. He doesn't do this very often, but he was at some event, some fundraiser event, and I saw the video. I don't know if it was yesterday or last week, but he was talking about how there is no better friend to Israel than the United States Senate Committee on Foreign Relations. And here's what he did. I went on the floor and I debated against Bernie Sanders, who put forth a resolution to stop all funding to Israel until the war in Gaza was over. And I did this, and I protected Israel. I continued the funding. I continued the flow. I continued the USAID funds that he controls flooding into Israel. And I don't want to get into an Israel debate here because nobody ever wins that debate, no matter what side you're on. But in the middle of his speech, a member, a paid lobbyist from AIPAC, walks up in the middle of his speech, puts his arm around him. I'm not bullshitting. Puts his arm around him and says, "Hey, listen, everybody, I need you to know what we have here in Jim Risch. There is no better man. There is no greater friend to the nation of Israel than the chairman of the Senate Committee on Foreign Relations for Israel." He called it the committee, the Senate Committee on Foreign Relations for Israel. He called it what it is.
He literally Freudian slipped that.
Yeah, I don't think it was a slip.
I have to find that.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. I'll send it. It was unbelievable.
Please do. Oh my God. Look, once again, we're not going to talk Israel. Okay. We're not going to get in the muck and mire here, but let's just talk any foreign nation. None. That's it. It's not that hard. It's like,
Exchange Israel with Zimbabwe.
I love how people are like, what about the Christians that are being slaughtered in Africa? I'm like, we're bombing Somalia in a record pace. More bombs dropped on Somalia this year than any year ever, beaten by his own record when he was 45. Right. Trump in like 19 or 17 dropped the most bombs, and he just broke it. He's like in the 90s right now.
Yep. And you know what Somalia is, what one of the border nations is with Somalia, right? Yemen, right?
Yep. Of course.
And Oman's a border nation.
Oman, that's the other one, right? Absolutely.
Your National Guard in Arizona.
My sister city.
Your sister
right?
city. Your sister nation is the nation of Oman.
Is and your governor, Oman, I know.
Your governor, who is supposed to represent Arizona, when we were about to put Defend the Guard on her desk last year or the year before, she got on a plane paid for by the nation of Oman, flew to Oman, while the bill for Defend the Guard is coming to her desk. She's got on the ground. She kissed the ring of the Sultan of Oman, signed a treaty committing the Arizona National Guard to the defense of Oman, which is a border nation with Yemen and Somalia, who are actively in a conflict, who we are bombing the hell out of right now. She committed your National Guard to get bombs dropped on them by American military men. Come on. You can't make this up.
And the biggest thing, people don't know, okay, for people don't know what Yemen is, specifically, there's a specific event called the USS Cole. So anyone can just do a web search. I think it was 17 people, 17 Marines were killed or something. So, or 17 Navy Marines. But basically, that's where you know Yemen. You don't know really anything about Yemen, except for that, maybe Aleppo and all some other things, Gary Johnson. But that's
the Aleppo moment.
You know, all those other things.
God. Moment.
So, yeah.
Actually, I was actually proud of him. I was actually proud of him. What's Aleppo? What is it? What is that? I'm
it
cool
is, but he kind of was too glib about it. He could have said, can you please fill me in on what you mean? Because you would have been like, oh, the city that, okay, that like, I think it was a gaffe that really just, come on, it was so easy.
It didn't land very well, but I think those that know really kind of appreciate the fact that he was focused on America. He wasn't focused on some other weird city in the middle of nowhere.
That's also a great, right. It's a great kind of blind spot to have in that case, right? If you're talking about America and America first and all this.
Yeah, it's like my blind spot when I go to a bar and somebody's standing over me at my shoulder and they're ordering a drink. And I turn around and the guy and my wife's like, he wasn't there because the bar was full. I'm like, wait, hold on. I have a blind spot. Wait, honey, what are you talking about? She's like, no,
how you doing?
Yeah, how you doing?
I hear you.
Yeah, my radar was broken.
Well, Dan, we've got like 15, 20 minutes left. Thank you again. Like you said, you gifted. This is your time. Anything coming up? Anything you want to talk about in addition? Well, we're obviously on a roll, so you're welcome to continue wherever you're at. I just want to kind of give you the time because I want to honor and be courteous of you.
No, I appreciate it. We have some big fights coming up. We've had some situations in the last year. Every time we go and push a piece of legislation, Defend the Guard in the State House, we always do it in a certain process. We have a method that it's kind of our own. We interview and find the right member of the legislature to sponsor our bill. We don't want anybody to sponsor it. You got to be a believer. You got to be a champion. And if you're just a milquetoast candidate looking for a piece of feel-good legislation, you're not our person. Come on as a co-sponsor, but we want a champion to sponsor it. So we find a champion, and then we build them an army. We go out and do all the work. We whip the rest of the body, the legislature, the House or the Senate. We whip the votes. We do the column counts. We figure out where everybody's going to line up on the vote before it ever gets to a place where it's going to be voted on. And we start pressuring people. And we put so much pressure on them with grassroots activists that are willing to give us 15 minutes a day, once a week, twice a week, during their lunch break to sit down and just make 10, 15 calls. Make 10 or 15 calls. Because you think calling Washington, D.C. and complaining that they're raising your taxes or that Trump is using ICE inappropriately, do you think that anybody actually listens to those calls? They don't. I'll answer it for you. But you call your representative who represents a small geographic area, maybe just your neighborhood, maybe half of your town, maybe part of your county. You start flooding the zone with phone calls from angry constituents. People start to change their mind. They start to listen. And so we teach people how to do this. We identify the targets, we paint them for you, and we give you the scripting, the methodology, the things you should say, the things you shouldn't say, the temperament you should have. And we help you call 10 to 15 times, back to back to back to back. You can be done in 15 minutes, and we move on. And once we've logged 5, 10, 15,000 calls into an office, guess what? They go from neutral to supporter real fast because nobody wants the pissed off veteran community coming down there and talking to them face to face. Nobody wants that. And so we put the pressure on. We find a champion. We put the pressure on. We force procedural votes. When we first start, we know we're not going to win, but we force procedural votes. So we put it on the floor or in a committee and make people put their name on it.
So you make them commit to the no, right?
That's right.
That
And
you
once
can
they
hold
commit to
against
no.
them later, right? Is that basically why you do that?
That's right. Because then we have an enemies list. Once you have an enemies list, it doesn't seem like it's an impossible mission anymore. Right now, we're selling a concept to the entire legislature, to the entire state, to the entire world. But when you have a vote, you have 7 bad guys, 3 bad guys, 5 bad guys, and you can laser focus. And that's the problem with a political activist is they want to fight every fight, and they want to do it with on top of a soapbox. They want to write a nicely worded op-ed. They want to make a social media post. They want to wave a flag from an overpass. Well, none of that works. You got to be laser focused, and we teach people how to do that. And so we find the champion, we fight the fight, we do the background work, we provide them all the materials, we write their floor speeches, we write their debate points, we write their op-eds in their names. We do all the work for them. And then when it comes time to vote, comes time for the hearing, we fill the hearing room, fill it with people to testify. And the only way we can do that is if you are part of the network. And you can become part of the network by, like I said, following us on all the socials at Troops Home US. You can go to defendtheguard.us/phone bank. Very specific link there. If you go to that link, you can sign up, and the great Diego Rivera, my director of field operations, will train you on our phone tactics and strategies. He'll activate you on a little list so that when we're fighting in your town, in your neighborhood, in your neck of the woods, you'll get a text from Diego that says, hey, I need you 15 minutes on your lunch break today. Here's the phone numbers you need to call. Here's the scripting. Here's the methodology. You can go to defendtheguard.us and sign the petition. If you just want to be a passive observer, sign the petition, and we'll send you a newsletter once or twice a week with key information of fights that are going on around the country. Join if you want, stand back and watch, whatever, but read the material because there's going to come a time where you will be held accountable for what you know and what you don't know. And you're going to be asked to defend your homeland either by vote or by gun. And it's best to have the ammunition now and understand what you're getting into. So sign up for our newsletter. And then, of course, I do this volunteer. I run a business with my wife. We have 70 employees. We're busy, but I do this volunteer with my own time, on my own dime. And I have 2 paid people that I pay salaries to every month, pay the rent, put the food on the table, keep them active. And so if you can chip in a few bucks here and there, it's the lifeblood of this organization. And if you happen to know, I don't know, a billionaire that just happens to have a desire to get into the anti-war movement, there aren't many of them, send them our way. We could use an angel donor or 2 to carry some of the burden. But follow us.
I'd recommend the Stacklers, but they're broke now.
That's right. There are a bunch of broke former billionaires, aren't there? But you know what? There's new ones that come along every day. But get in the fight. Enlist in the movement, follow us, watch the podcast. We just launched it. Like I said, we're only 5 episodes into the podcast and we're getting great reviews. We're getting a lot of attention on it. I think it's good content. I'm a little bit biased because it's me. You know, I write, I film, I produce, I do it all myself. You know how it goes, right? I'm a guy I'm a former Marine.
You're a hands-on guy. You have to do it yourself. Or else
you can't afford to do it any other way. But I used to eat crayons for breakfast. I was a Marine. I was a grunt, right? And now I'm putting together podcasts that are going out and getting thousands and tens of thousands of views. And it's a fight that's worth fighting. My wife hates it and loves it at the same time. She loves the passion that I have for this mission. She hates what it does to me when we don't win. She hates what it does to me when I have to go toe to toe with a 3-star general in a hearing room and it's just me and it's just him. And he's saying things like declarations of war. We just don't do that anymore. It's an anachronism and it's outdated. And I have to be like, well, excuse me, Mr. General, the Constitution says, I have to argue from that nerdy point of view.
I love anachronism. It's just a slogan. It's like, don't be evil, Google, right? Like, okay.
You know where that anachronism phrase came from?
That
was Henry Hyde, who was the chairman of the House Foreign Relations Committee in 2002. Henry Hyde.
Kidding.
Yeah, when Ron Paul, leading up to the Iraq War, he said, you know what? I don't support the Iraq war at all, but I'm a representative of the people of Texas, And so I'm going to bring a declaration of war resolution. We're going to do it the right way. I'm going to vote against my own resolution, but I will sponsor it. And we're going to put our names on this thing before we send America into war. And Henry Hyde, the chairman of the committee, said, declarations of war, that's an anachronism. It's outdated. We just don't do it anymore. It's outdated. Yeah. It's from the past. Well, show me where we amended the Constitution. Man. Where did that happen?
And it's funny because that same thing, Massey puts through bills so they get to vote.
That's right.
He doesn't vote on them. And then someone like a Sean Farash who seen like America first, like I'm calling these people out because once again, like people take things are fracturing. We're not even going to get into all that, but there's a lot of fractures because really the left the people this last election. It wasn't really a coalition of people who are like, oh, sensibility. No, it's like everybody, the progressives literally were trash and threw everyone out of their party.
That's right.
They were like, fuck you guys. And we're like, oh, fuck us. No, fuck you.
Yep.
And now it's really not a group of people together. How you hold them together? By actually talking and listening to them, not being douchebags, right? So they try to attack You attack Massey of all
the gentleman of the legislature. The gentleman.
Right, literally.
Yep. Who
so
by the way, who just lost his wife.
The resolution. Yeah. So it gets voted down because he wants to put it in front to put you to account, man.
He's doing the hard work so that you can do your job. You can do the easiest part. A or nay. A or nay. That's the easy part. And he's doing the hard part by putting his name on it and drawing all the fire. But guess what? Thomas Massey's gangster. You know, I don't know if people know about it, but he lives on his own ranch. He has non-electrical powered water pumps that through perpetual motion pump water uphill to his ranch. He goes and gets old Tesla car batteries and puts them in shipping containers with satellite panels or solar panels, and he charges the batteries, and he has power on his ranch for up to like 2 or 3 months at a time without ever touching.
Flux capacitor he invented.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And what was that? Mr. Garbage 2.0? Was that Back to the Future 3?
An MIT grad with like how many patents? Like the dude, it's so fun. He's like too smart for that job. Like that's just like, what is he doing?
We don't deserve him. Kentucky is definitely out kicking their coverage with him and Rand Paul in the same place.
Yeah,
but it's what they're bringing down the average.
The moonshine? Is it the moonshine that makes those guys rebels? Because Kentucky's got all the guys are like thumbing their nose at everybody. It's It's kind of a beautiful thing to see.
That's right. But yeah, I would say I would put Tom Massey in our coalition. In fact, he's a big supporter of the Defend the Guard movement and has helped sponsor Defend the Guard activists to run for the legislature in Kentucky. You know, the great T.J. Roberts, a young law school. He just graduated from law school, former Massey staffer, Defend the Guard sponsor. We're just building the empire. And if you look back to our empire, right? I shouldn't use that word, but if you look back where they all came from, all the really good ones, all the really good liberty-based people in the movement, where did they come from? 2008 Ron Paul revolution. And they finally matured 100%. Through the system, and they've gotten into positions of seniority and authority, and they've built gravitas and a following and supporting. And they've been singing the same song from the same hymn book since 2008, when Ron Paul, running for president, got more individual cash donations and more dollars in total from the United States military and the veteran community than all the other candidates combined. That is not an accident.
In the primary.
That's right.
And more votes.
That's right, Tampa. Oh,
the votes too.
That's right.
Until
they locked
the people who are on the ground, literally, when the boots on the ground are giving you that kind of signal, you should at least pay attention to it. You don't shit it down. You don't Giuliani it. Okay, get the heck out of here. It's like, oh, it's so silly.
But the thing that the other side has that we don't, though, they have really, really, really smart, good-looking people like Mark Levin. Right, that occupy the airwaves out of pure sex appeal.
What do you mean? What do you mean? You're a traitor. What are you, some kind of douchebag? What do you think you can do about that? What do you think? Good. What do you think you can do? What? I don't think you can get against me. How dare you get an anti-Semitic slur? How dare you?
I think you could make a career with that. That's pretty.
I've been
solid.
working on Levin, Shapiro. I got them all. I got a couple. I'm working on. So.
But
what do you mean?
We don't have those guys. What we have a Dave Smith, right? We have a Scott Horton,
great.
Right?
Yeah, Horton.
Liam
McCallum. Liam, I've not had the honor, and I've been trying to chase him. So if you can connect us, I'd be honored.
Call him right when we're done.
But once again, it's just I've been just trying to talk to everyone. It is just blown up, and I wanted to bring up to you Freedom Fest next year. It's in Vegas, man. You got to come. If you're going to
I've
be in
been
the
to
area that
Freedom
we're
Fest.
talking
It's not
about
bad.
earlier.
Yeah, it's not bad.
July 8th to the 12th. Already got a room. We've got a big coalition of people coming. So if you have any inkling, we're hoping that Horton's going to go again and a bunch of other guys, but maybe Dave will show up. I know he kind of transcended it the last couple of years, but maybe
I think Dave was suffering from a little LP PTSD. You know?
Oh yeah, that's sick. And that's the thing is Freedom Fest is not an LP thing.
No,
it's like, it's funny. They kind of conflate it a little bit, to your point. Same thing. It's not, it's so different. But
yeah,
anyway.
I was there last time and I'm trying, it was either last year or the year before. It was, but
probably 2 years ago. Cause I didn't meet you. Yeah. I would have met you at Palm Springs. You were in Vegas, right?
Vegas. Yep.
The Vegas one. Yeah. So it would have been 24. That's the one with Trump and RFK was there. Cash. I remember meeting Cash and like, this guy doesn't pass the smell test.
Why are his eyes so jittery?
It wasn't even, I got a vibe. I get vibes and like the vibes are usually pretty good. Yeah. And that one's pretty on.
Yeah. It was, I like going because, like Kennedy from Fox News is there and she is.
Yeah. Kennedy's great. She hosts the whole event. She's great.
Yep.
Valerie Durham, like the whole thing. Mark Skousen runs the show. It's such a great thing. It's like a family.
If anybody in here does not know Skousen, please just spend 10 minutes at any bookstore, used bookstore, whatever. Find what you can, read it. The man understands. He gets it. He lays it out in a way that you just can't help but understand it. He takes economics and turns it into
very
something
simple, straightforward way.
Yep.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yep.
Mark is great, and like I said, Valerie and everybody, like the whole Haley Skousen's there and everybody. So it is really this great thing, and I would love this to break bread with you guys. We'll go hit it big in Vegas because we're foodies, man. So we'll.
Let me tell you what happens. Let me tell you what happens in my life in July. We've just gotten out of the House legislative or the state legislative seasons, and we've been 6 months on the road, traveling to 30 different states all over the country. And when July hits, I go home. I go home.
Hibernation. Man. Go home.
Yeah.
But hibernation.
It's self-preservation more than anything because you can only drink that swamp water so much. But
that's the thing, though. It's not like it's not a work thing. Don't come as a work thing. Sure. Come as an attendant because it would be probably more of a relief that you're not on the side of the booth.
It would be
that you just come as attendant.
I just realized my lights off. I got to turn this on. Sorry about that.
Oh, it was on. It just went off recently. So okay. It was on the whole time for most of it. So it might have just gone off. We talked the lights out.
We talked the goddamn lights out.
Cool. Well, once again, Dan, it's just been such a pleasure, man. I'm just so grateful. And we're an hour in. Thank you again for your time. I know we'll talk again, but
100%.
Before we go, please share the podcast, how to get a hold of you, how to get on the petition, all that stuff. Then give me the stuff. I'll put it in the notes as well. But once again, this has been another awesome If by Whiskey. I'm so grateful for your time again. So thank you.
You bet. Before we leave, we'll have a quick cheers with my energy drink. So on all the socials, at Troops Home or Troops Home US, that's the important one. If you go to defendtheguard.us or bringourtroopshome.us, those are our websites. The podcast is called the Bring Our Troops Home podcast. It's on Spotify. It's on Apple, all the podcast places, anything that has the RSS feed, it's there. I would encourage you to watch the episodes. Watch the video version, though. The video version's on X or on Spotify or on YouTube. Because I think that, God dang it, I'm a good-looking man. And it's, if you want to impress your friends, you run around with people like me. And number two, I think some of the visuals that we have and the graphics that we include really add to the flair, to the experience. And I never thought I'd be that guy. I never thought I'd be a podcaster. It wasn't my thing. I don't want to be, as my friend who is in local drive time radio here says, I'm just a monkey behind a microphone. That's not what I wanted to be. I wanted to be the guy out there putting my finger in the chest of some Speaker of the House or Senate Pro Tem. I want to be that guy. But you can only do that so much. You got to figure out how to multiply yourself. And so that's what we're doing. We're trying to multiply the Dan McKnight of Bring Our Troops Home and put me in places where I can't be by myself. And that keeps me from having to go to Michigan in the middle of the winter to teach a Liberty school, or keeps me from having to go to Pork Fest up in New Hampshire every year because nobody's liver or their lungs can actually survive that every year in a row. You have to take a year off. RFK told me I had to. Sorry. So
that's very preposterous.
You're so good, man. I love it. But yeah, so that's where we're at, all the places. But check us out, please sign the petition, join us, get our email newsletter. If it ever becomes offensive or burdensome to you, unsubscribe. We honor it right away. We've built our own email distribution platform because we were getting throttled by all the big ones. So we built our own. It's called Patriot Send. It's clean. It gets through the filters. You're going to get the content that you want to get. It's like literally plugging in to the Ron Paul Liberty Report pipeline and getting just a straight shot of that good old Ron Paul, Daniel McAdams wisdom. And we're shoving it through you mainline. We're just an 8-ball of liberty.
Well, McAdams is good too. So
yeah.
Cool. Well, Dan, thank you again. This has been awesome. And once again, we've got an outro, but please stick on so we can say our goodbyes. But tomorrow, everybody, once again, we've got Jason Rink on. Good. So we get to talk nullification. I'm excited, man. I haven't talked with him. I met him once again at the barbecue. I've gotten to speak with you, Jason, now, and a handful of other people. It's been this amazing, really been. I didn't know. I'm a outsider because I feel like I make myself that so I can be as unbiased at least. Because look, I've got enough biases going on. Tribalism, I don't need tribalism on top of it. You know what I mean? Like, we realize we have biases. So for me to be the most objective, don't lump me in a group because I can't defend every action of every group. I just can't do it. So I try to, but it does hamper me because it doesn't, you know what I mean? I really try to isolate a little bit. So,
you're not in the Libertarian Bro Club. You're not.
But I want to talk with everybody in the bro. I just want to hang with everybody. Let's have a smoke outside. That's me around the corner. Just come on out for a smoke and do that. So anyone you could connect, like I said, it's all about the message. We've got a new co-host in Jake Day, and like I said, Jason Rink will be there tomorrow. Then we're going to Mark Maresca's White Pill Box. Have you heard of this show?
I have not.
Okay, I'll get you connected with Mark because I think you'd be perfect for his show because you have white pills. Like he always looks at the white pill, and obviously what you're fighting for, you're not fighting against anything. You're fighting for your American brothers and sisters. Right. This is what this is. It's not about against. You're not really fighting against a thing. You're fighting for a concept, and those have way more energy. Those are the ones that get through, because it's the positive,
they resonate,
the energy on that. So, and then next week, 23rd, we've got Rob Yates. I don't know if you know Rob, and Brent Freeman. I'll get you connected with those two guys, both brilliant gentlemen. And we're going to talk consciousness. We're going to see if it's emergent or foundational. Our heads are going to explode next week. So,
there you go.
But Dan, thank you again. This has been another If by Whiskey. Everybody, thanks for joining us. We will be back tomorrow. Take care.
Subscribe to If by Whiskey. Fuck Liberty Lockdown. Subscribe to this show.
No, come on!